What's going on, people? My name is Dr. Uncle, and this is Geek Hot Fix. Today, I'm going to show you my whole process from selecting a file to 3D printing, to priming, to painting, to finishing something like this. Let's go. So we start by going and grabbing an STL file. You can do Patreon, you can do Thanks, you can do CG Trader. There's a bunch of them. You just search it on Google and a lot of them will pop up. Obviously on Patreon, you can support the artist monthly, or you can just buy the files by themselves. What I did, I went to CG Trader and got this one from Vinny Cardoso. It's obviously Ben Grimm from Fantastic Four. It comes with 3 heads. We're doing the one that it's in the middle, the one that it's has the open mouth. I thought that this was gonna be an easy paint job, since all of it is kind of like just the same color. So when you get the files, sometimes you get files that are pre-supported, and all you have to do is you open them and you set them on the printing bed. Make sure that everything will print out. It's in a position. They're already hollowed and hollowed out, pre-supported, pre-rafted. You just select them, you slice them, you save the file. Here are my settings. You can pause it to see them, and then it's gonna give me it's 8 hours and a half to print. So we're gonna transfer it to my USB because I don't have the printer is not on a network. So that's my network, me walking to the printer and starting it over. So we're gonna print and let's see how it comes. And it was a failed. Bwah, bwah, bwah. So now let's try it again, but this time let's do it my way. So we go back in, but with this time we're gonna use the solid files, the complete files. We're gonna set them on the bed as best as we can, and then I'm just gonna select the extremities. I'm not gonna select the head because I want the head to stay solid. They turn yellow because there's liquid inside, so you have to create holes, and when you create holes, that liquid can come outside. So we're gonna create holes all over, and on these pieces I can do it on both sides. That way I can get water in there and clean them, because I'm using Elegoo's water washable resin. I don't use ABS like resin. I don't like using ISO to clean. So we build a raft, and then all the supports I just hit apply. I don't think I ever changed these settings. So now let's fix this and let's slice it, which is the hollow parts, and we're gonna go to the other one and the same. This one is gonna be a little bit faster because I kind of said what I needed to say. Make sure that when you're making holes, the holes don't go through the actual design. And here I got a suction cup right there, so I added an extra hole so we didn't have a failed print again. So let's try it again. Moment of truth. So now let's get to work. I usually leave my prints for like a day or so hanging, so it can drip out as much resin off of them as possible. Here I always clean the plate first and put it back in the printer, and then I'm gonna set these aside. Then I'm gonna take the supports off, the ones that were done the day before, that they've been sitting there. They drained as much as they could. And then we're gonna leave the ones that I just did to drain until tomorrow. So now I'm curing the excess because that's toxic. We leave it until tomorrow, and tomorrow's here. So now we take all the supports on this, and then we proceed to, again, cure them. So now that's been cured. So now we're gonna clean the parts. I use a toothbrush. I think that was my wife's toothbrush. Don't tell her. And then I just dunk it in 3 baths. So the first one I take as much as I can out of inside. Like I shake it, I drain it. And then on the one in the middle, I rewash it just to make sure. The third one, it should just be clear water coming out of the prints. So we do this for all the prints. And then we make sure that we take the little tiny supports that he has. And then I blow some air inside, make sure that everything is dry, and then we cure it. I don't have a curing station. So this is my curing station. I'm the curing station. So I just make sure that I get every angle possible to be cured. And you can see light inside. That's hopefully it's curing the inside. So now we're gonna build it. But it was kind of big, so I had to put it on top of the station, of the painting station. It's kind of big. So now this part I printed with the Neptune. So I need to glue them together. I don't use glue on this. I just heat it up. It starts melting. And then I just put them together. So they get together. And there's fumes, yes. So wear a mask. Now we proceed to using this little airbrush that is just a bottle and air. And I just prime all the pieces with black primer, because that's how I wanted to start the statue. Everything gets primed first, and then we'll wait like a day or so for the fumes to completely get out of my garage, because this is where I'm working, in the garage. Yes, I have this station, but I don't trust it anyways. So I just leave it for a whole day for them to dry. And now we're gonna start with the paints. So we start with a little nutmeg for the door. We're gonna start with the base first. And we're gonna dry it as we go, because that nutmeg looks a lot lighter when you apply it than when it's dry. So I wanted to see the right shade that I wanted. Now we'll go with khaki for the sand around it. As you can see, I'm using inexpensive paints that I got from Walmart, probably like 59 cents. That brush that I'm using, probably paid like $1 for like a pack of 6 on the dollar store. So you don't have to spend a lot of money to do this stuff. Yes, there's paints that are gonna be like more betterer, if you want to say it that way. But yes, they're gonna cost you more money, but it's because it's the right shade that you want. I'll use them, but you don't need to. Like right now, I just mix the nutmeg with the khaki to paint the bricks. Like give them a little bit of color before I start darkening them. After that, we're gonna go with gray, pewter gray, and we're gonna paint the door. And the rocks all around the base model. There's plenty of rocks, so all the rocks are gonna get some gray paint on them. And then we go with the brown. I did a dry brush on the bricks with some brown. And then with the white, I did another dry brush, but that one was too small. So I grabbed a bigger one. And that always makes those rocks look great, especially like bricks and rocks. That dry brush with white or a lighter color always brings the details on it. Always do that, always do that. And then with the black, we're gonna go for the hinge of the door, because we're gonna turn it into metal. And the way that I do it is that I paint it black first, and while it dries, we paint this blue thing. And see, that shade I like, but when I dry it, it goes too dark. So I didn't like it when it dried out. So I changed that later on post. And then I grab some metallic like silver, and then I apply it to the hinge of the door to make it metallic. And this little part that I think was metallic. I don't know what it is. I don't know why there's a cable coming out of that thing. What is there? So we got the metallic all around. And then there's this little thing coming out of the cable. That's much red as I needed. That was it. So there's like a little cable coming out of the cable. So I decided to paint one red, then the other one yellow. They're very tiny. So I paint that one yellow. I dry it out. And then I repaint it just to make sure that it was like the right shade of yellow that I wanted. And then I grab some white for the tips to make it like stand out. So now I'm gonna use some Citadel skeleton horde to make this rocks kind of like dirty and old, and the door as well. So I just spray that, use as much as I can, a little bit around the sand. Then I'm gonna again dry brush with some white on top of the rocks to bring that detail again that I took for the skeleton horde, and then I dry brush everything else. And then I'm gonna add some shadow. I usually don't do this. I don't usually add the shadow like this, but I just wanted to darken a little bit of the areas. So especially around the bricks and around the back of the statue. Even though people are not gonna look at the back of it, it's still important. The whole piece is important. So I added some shading all over around, and I messed up a little bit. So here I come back and try and fix it with some dry brushing. And then we apply some clear coating on it. That way it sets, all the colors set. So now we're gonna start with the pants. I started with the pants because once I start the legs, I have to start the whole body. Everything is gonna be one shade. So started with the pants with this light color blue. I think it's called sky blue. I'll show it here in a second. Yes, sky blue. And then we're gonna do the aquamarine for shading. So I just applied this just a little bit from the bottom to get like a purplish shading on it. Then with the black, we use it to paint the trim of the pants and the side of the pants because they're black. So we use black to do that. And then with this light blue, I do like a dry brush. But I actually messed up. I did too much of it. It wasn't as dry as I thought it was. So I had to go back with the sky blue and retouch it. It was kind of like a happy accident. It actually looked better this way. And then I go back with the black to retouch the parts where I kind of like went overboard with the dry brushing. And we do a clear coating on it and we wait until it dries because we're gonna use Silly Putty to cover the pants. I covered the number 4, and then we're gonna cover the pants because we're gonna paint the belt. I could have done it by hand, but I think the airbrush makes it look better and more cohesive. So I decided to use the Silly Putty. And Silly Putty is not that expensive, so it's a really good thing to have. It works wonders. It's super good. And then we're gonna go with steel color, natural steel, and we're gonna paint the belt. And we're gonna dry it off. Here I make a mistake here in a second, because I actually I actually take off the silly putty when I shouldn't have, because I started painting these black lines, which they could have waited until after, but I started painting the lines and then I took off the silly putty to paint all the black lines, right? Because I already using the black and I'm already using the brush and everything, right? And the thing is, after I paint the lines, I have to go back and put the silly putty again because I have to paint the white band around the number 4. So if I would have left it there, I wouldn't have to do any of this. It would have been already been done. And then I just paint a little bit of white on it and take off the thing covering the 4, and pretty much the pants are done. And then the body, I'm gonna glue it because it's gonna be like one shading pretty much. So I glue these parts first. Again, materials from the Dollar General or Dollar Tree, whatever the name of the store is. So I glue them because if I paint them separately, I might have 2 different shadings and then it's gonna be even worse. Try and match them, so I might as well just have everything. Yeah, it makes it worse for me to like hold it because it's big. But we start by using a white primer. This one's brand new. I just got it from Amazon, the pack of 3. So we're gonna do it at an angle, like coming from top, so I can get the highlights. I'm trying to get the highlights on it. Especially this big of a piece. I wanted to get highlights everywhere, especially with the design of it, which is like lots of rocks, right? So let's get all those highlights. And then we're gonna use red, and we're gonna do the same thing, but from the bottom. So we're gonna get the shadows now. So with the legs, and then see, like if I would have done this with separately, I wouldn't have the same shading. So, and here in a second, you'll see the difference. So right here, you can see the white from the top and the red from the bottom. Here in a second, white top, red bottom. So now we're gonna start with some Psycho brown. I wanted to start with a darker brown. Basically, I'm gonna work from dark to light because he is orange in the comic books, like yellowish, right? So I wanted to have everything like build up to that color. So I start with the Psycho brown because it's very dark brown, and it's gonna cover all the crevices of the design. And I dry everything while I'm going because I want to do this in one sitting. So now we go with the brown. I believe it was nutmeg again. And then we do a coat on one of the legs, dry it out. Then let's compare it to the other one. See, it's already lighting up. It's already getting lighter. So we do the other leg with the same color. So now they match. And we do the whole unit with the same nutmeg. And again, this is a brush. I think it broke on me. This is a brush that it came in a pack. It's like a 15 pack for like $3. But you don't need expensive brushes to do this stuff. I actually use the inexpensive ones to do this stuff. I don't want to ruin the expensive ones on stuff like this. We paint the whole unit and we dry it just to make sure that we have the right shading on all of it. Here I go back and retouch it because this area wasn't as bright as the rest. Now it matches. And then we're gonna do some ochre. Ochre? How do you say that? Ochre? So anyways, we do some highlights and like hit the highlights more on this one. And see, it's getting lighter. So we paint with ochre. However you say that, I hope I'm saying it correctly. And we get the whole thing. And like I said, I thought this was gonna be an easy paint job because of, you know, the whole thing is pretty much one color, right? Like the whole body it's the same as the legs and everything. But man, this unit was big. It was it's kind of like hard to hold, and I have to match everything, right? Like this side I had to add a little bit more because it wasn't matching. So now we're gonna do some orange. This one is from Walmart, and I do a dry brush of orange on it. After I use those expensive paints, I covered it with some inexpensive paints because it don't matter. It don't matter. The end result is what matters. So now, as you can see, it's getting more orangier, more like his colors, more like Ben Grimm. So we're almost getting there. It looks okay so far. Plus, this model was so big, it's good that I used the cheap paint to paint that, because it was gonna take a lot of paint. So here, I retouch it, retouch, make sure that everything is covered nicely. Then I'm gonna use Sunkissed Peach for highlights. Yes, you're gonna say, why did you paint the orange and then you cover it with the peach? So this works like the white on the gray on the stones. Like it's gonna bring more detail on the highlights than just having the orange on it. And then after that, we're gonna mix orange with that one to make a yellowish tone. And this is the one that we want. This is the tone that we want. Not that orange, it's more of a yellowish tone. This was kind of hard, actually. I'm not gonna lie, because I ran out of it, so I had to like remix, and some of the times it was too yellow, some of the times it was too dark, too orangey. So I had to like come back and forth, and make sure that the shading on the actual model was good, because I didn't want to ruin it just because of that. I didn't want to have to start all over again. Then we paint the legs. See, like here, I had to like remix, and the legs have to match the body. Now we're gonna do Gulliman's Flesh for the mouth. I use this for the mouth, and then I use the Magos Purple again for the mouth, and then for the eyes. I let that dry. Well, we make it dry. Yeah, we make it dry. And then I use this color because I don't have deck 10. It's very hard to get by. I can't find my deck 10. So I use this one. That's close enough. It's a grayish, whitish color. I don't like painting teeth white because they look weird. And then I use it also for the eyes. I just put that little bit of that grayish color in the eyes. Then I paint with the sky blue. Just a little bit of the sky blue for the eyes. And I use a little bit of black again for the eyes. And a little bit of white for some highlight on the eyes. And then after that, I apply some of that. It's like a glossy finish to the eyes to make them glossy. Make them dry, cover them in the gloss, and pretty much we're done. And here he is in all his glory. I actually did like a wash, like a brown wash on top of it. I didn't record it. I forgot to record it because I was so excited. I was so excited because I was almost done. But here he is. It toned down a little bit of the yellowish that it had, but it came out great. Here's the base. You can see those highlights in the body. You can see the highlights on the bricks, on the base. That cable, now it's a lighter color. And I think all in all, it came out great. Like you can see the eyes are glistening and everything, and you have like all the details in the in the crevices, and yeah, like I'm very happy with how this one came out. Don't forget to subscribe. I have a ton of videos that are coming up. Again, one project per month so far. If I can make two, then I'll do two. But thank you for watching. This was Dr. Uncle Geek Hot Fix.